Hey, what's up drone fam? This is Kruser, where I show you how to make professional drone videos, and today I'm reviewing and comparing 5 different Airmap apps on the App Store, determining which one is the best. Check it out. As drone pilots, we rely heavily on air maps, especially Airmap apps, as we try to determine what is in the sky, what flight restrictions there are, and where we can fly our drones. And as using these apps, it's hard to tell which one actually has the right information, which one is a direct source of truth. So what I'm going to be doing today is breaking down the pros and cons of each app, different features that are available in each one, and then also comparing them all together and giving you my recommendation on what the best Airmap app is out there. Okay, before we get into the video, I just want to say if you want to learn how to make professional drone videos, make sure to go and subscribe to my channel. I post videos weekly and I help drone pilots like you learn how to make professional drone videos. All right, let's get into this. So the first app that we're going to look at is the Plus Drone app. If I open it up, you can see that it has a little map here as you open the app. Keep in mind that in order to access the no-fly zones portion of the map, you actually have to sign up with an account with this app. But when you turn on that and you've actually signed up, you can see that it has a little bit of a load time, and then you can find all the different areas on the map that are no-fly zones or restricted flight areas. What I do like about this map, however, is that when you tap on a different restricted flight zone, you can actually see phone numbers and contact information for that zone. So that is actually pretty useful if you need to contact an airport or call directly, even though nowadays you actually contact airports through a waiver, so that's not necessary. Another feature that I do like on the map is that you can actually see where schools and hospitals are in your different areas, which makes it nice. Overall, I like how you can move around, scroll around, tap on different parts of the map, and you can see restricted flight zones that are all over where you're at in your state or throughout the United States, which makes it very nice. I also appreciate that it has weather information. It has a forecast that goes out a week, and then on top of that, if you go to NOTAM, you can look up your airport and see if they have any information here. However, I don't think this feature actually works. I've tried searching a couple different airports and I always get that same error with each one. Another feature that I think is cool with this app is that you can actually set up a drone within the app and then do a flight, click ready for liftoff, and then any other pilots who are flying their drone as well in the same area, they can see your drone and you can see theirs. However, I don't think there's a lot of users behind this app, so this doesn't really provide much help or useful value. Now, if we were to go over the pros and cons of this app, pros would be that you have an active drone map and you can see other drones that are flying. With the no-fly zones, you actually are able to tap on different flight restricted areas and see contact information, and you also get weather and solar information as well. Cons, I would say you actually have to sign up for this app. I would count that as a con. And then as well, the app is pretty buggy and some features don't work, like if you're signing up through Google or Facebook, or if you're going to use the NOTAM information. Airmap is going to be the next one that we're going to look at. As you scroll out, you can see that whatever you scroll out to, that is going to show the different warnings for each area. Now, this is warning specific to me as a hobbyist. I can actually switch to being a Part 107 pilot, and then it would pull up even more advisories, and I can actually go through each of those. And if I actually wanted to see if I can contact that airport and get a waiver, it'll take you to the FAA site where you can fill out the waiver. As well, it also has capabilities where you can see incoming and flying aircraft. Check this out. When I go and select and try to do a flight plan, and I can adjust the area where I'm going to be moving, and then I go and click next. I can say I'm going to fly for about this long, going to go to 100, 200 feet, let's do that. And then earlier I set up my account. There's my name with contact information there, so you actually have to put in your phone number and then verify that through a text message that is sent, and then come up with aircraft. So you have to set both of those up, and then you can sign up for insurance, click yes or no to the applicable questions, and then click next. And then you get some basic information about weather and temperature outside, the rules that you may be violating and that you should review. But then when everything's good to go, you submit the flight, get the confirmation, and then if I zoom out, that shows my flight plan. And if you look here, you can actually see different flight movements of different planes coming through. This gives you a really good idea of what is flying in the area. Another app that I'm reviewing today actually offers this capability, so keep that in mind. Now, end the flight, and you're back to your normal settings again. One thing that I've been trying to test out and haven't been able to successfully do yet is to actually link my drone up with the controller. I turned my controller on and I've gone to this and it's just kind of sat there, so I'm not sure how to do this. If you know, please let me know in the comments below. Now, pros and cons of this app. I like how you get a wonderful map here. You can actually see planes that are flying in the sky as you're going, and then the planning your flights functionality is super robust. And I also appreciate the fact that you can switch between being an FAA or a hobbyist pilot and seeing the different applicable rules. Cons is I wish that the weather information was more clear, and then also I'm trying to tap on different areas or like different zones where I can see if there's contact information, and none of that is actually pulling up. It's not doing that. And if I actually do want to, you know, tap on a specific one, I can't actually do that, but I can go and click on this triangle. But then that means wherever I'm zoomed out to, it's going to show me all advisories for that area. So I find that a little counterintuitive and hard to use for end user experience, but overall though, there's not too many cons when it comes to using this app. The next app we're going to look at is called Drone Buddy. As I'm looking at it, you can see that this app provides weather information immediately right off the bat. If I click on the map, it'll take me over to this Airmap, and I can actually see different airspaces and what's available, and it also shows me the schools and hospitals. You don't get the contact information when you tap on the different airports or restricted flight zones. If I go to see if there's like a warning feature on this app, it actually doesn't give me a warning. There are ads on this app as well. If I go to the Airmap and if I was to tap on different airspaces, sometimes they might pop up some ads, so that's something to keep in mind. There's a feature here that is really interesting that other apps don't have, and that's the ability to chat with other pilots. And now if you log in using Facebook or creating your own login, you can actually see chats from other users. So if I was to tap on this chat, a pilot over here near the prison here in Utah actually posted a question about if it's illegal to fly over a prison. So that's actually some pretty cool functionality. You can post and answer questions based on specific locations. But overall though, pros to this app is you get the chat functionality. Another pro to this is that you get the weather information clear in front of your face. Some cons to this is that there's ads on this app. It doesn't tell you immediately if you're in a no-fly zone, and as well you have ads on this app, and if you actually want to try to get rid of the ads and see more flight information, you actually have to upgrade it, and that costs monthly, yearly, or you can pay a lifetime one, and then that's only billed once. So those are the pros and cons to this specific app. The next app that I'm going to look into is the Before You Fly app. This is actually the official app of the FAA. They built it themselves and built it specifically just for drone pilots. When you go here, it actually immediately shows you if you're in a no-fly zone. If we go over to the map, you'll see that it'll actually take quite a while to load the map. I've seen it take as long as 10 seconds. So to me, that is something that's not that good about this app. However, it does give you icons and shows you where airports are as well as heliports. The one thing that I don't like about this app is that it'll show that you're in a warning zone and that you're within 5 miles of an airport, but it interprets heliports as airports, and as you know, you can actually fly your drone within 5 miles of an heliport. You just have to make sure that when there's a helicopter in the air or any other manned aircraft, that you actually have to give right of way to that aircraft and to land your drone, or at least get out of the way. The planning functionality, pretty much how it works is you go and you click on this, and if I was to search Las Vegas and click start, it's not actually gonna show and give me like a whole itinerary of where I'm gonna be flying my drone and stuff. It's just gonna take me over to that spot on the map, and then just give me all that information. If I was to go and zoom out and then go to a different part of the map, say back to where I'm at, it actually won't show any of this flight information with airports or heliports. So pretty much if you're trying to move around the map and see where everything is and what's restricted airspace, you have to specify different cities, and that information will populate. So that's actually really frustrating if you're just wanting to scroll and look at stuff on the fly. Now if you go over to more, there's information about airports, temporary flight restrictions, and that actually provides information right off the bat to you in regards to that, which is actually really nice. And if you look down below, you can find legal information. And I know that a lot of drone pilots have told me before that if you use the Before You Fly app, you will not be steered in the wrong, and that's the only app you should use. I would disagree with that. If you read through this legal agreement, the FAA actually specifies that if any information is wrong in this app, they're not to be blamed, and that their app can't be blamed for any bad or not updated information. So pretty much, if you're using this app just because it's the FAA's and it's going to be the source of truth, don't count on that, because in their legal clauses they say they're not responsible for that. that, and it pretty much makes them as reliable as any other app. So to go over pros and cons, for one, you get the message right when you open the app telling you if you're in the correct airspace to be flying in. You also get information on heliports and airports. And on top of that, you also get information on temporary flight restrictions, national parks, and a list of US airports. However, some cons that come with this app is that it takes a long time to load the app. The heliports are interpreted as airports, so you're always going to be in restricted flight space, and you'll be getting that error a lot, especially if you live in a city. And on top of that, just like the legal clause that I pointed out earlier, it just shows that this app isn't more accurate than any of the others. So if you don't like this app, it's not going to be worth using. The last app that I'm going to be looking into is the Hover app. Immediately gives you information on if you're able to fly your drone. This is all dependent on weather conditions, temperature, wind, and then also if you're in a restricted flight space. This is really useful if you're trying to find an app that's going to tell you if you're able to take your drone off immediately. If I go over to the map, if I scroll out, you can see that it takes a little bit to load, but once it does load, it provides a lot of information. So you can see that as I continue to scroll out, look at all these different airports and other restricted flight zones that it populates within the map. To me, that is something that's really nice and super useful, especially if I'm trying to plan flights that are in different states. This gives me all the information I need right there. And on top of that, if I try to find contact information for these different airports, it's all made available to me right there. And that makes it very nice, especially if you're trying to reach an airport for any reason. But if you like that information, it's made available. However, you do lose the hospitals and the schools on this map. You don't get that information. If you do try to plan a flight and you click a new flight and you have the information here, you can see that it actually doesn't put anything on the map. It's just kind of more of a log. So the flight planning feature is not really useful at all. You do get a list of drone news, and so if you actually want to keep up on any drone articles or any drone information or UAV information, it's all here. If you go over to the news sources settings, you can filter out any fake news that you might not want if you know of any. And then if you go over to this timer settings, you can actually set a timer for while you're flying your drone, and then that'll go off and give you a notification for that. So it's a really useful app. I like how simple and clean it is, and it immediately just gives you all the information you need. If we were to go down the pros and cons, you get this nice status here that takes into account a ton of different factors. As well, you get the sunrise and sunset information, you get a weather forecast and wind direction and speed, and that's very accurate. I've compared that with my weather app on my phone. And then as well, I really like how this map is very robust. You get, absolute information that you need with airports, and then also with bigger areas like this. And this app is updated regularly. I remember one time President Trump came to Salt Lake, and that day I noticed there was a big red circle for 50-mile radius around Salt Lake City, and it was a temporary restricted flight zone for while the president was in town. And that also had the contact information as well. So this app is updated regularly on its map, and it gets you the information you need. Cons, I do not like the black and yellow. It kind of makes it look old. Even though it's a great working app, I also think that their flight logs or their flight planning isn't that good either. So those are some things to keep in mind. The number one app that I actually think is the best one out of this list, Hover, would be my main choice for an app to use. And the reason why I picked Hover is because when you go into the app, right away it tells you if you're ready to fly, and it takes into account a ton of factors like weather conditions, you're in a temporary flight restriction zone, no fly zone. It kind of gives it to you all in one central place, which I find very useful. And then another feature that I really love with Hover is being able to go into the app, tap on different flight zones or different restricted areas, and then see the contact information and have a phone number and then the airspace and the name right there. But let me know in the comments below which app is your favorite and why. I want to know. I'm sure there's a ton more apps out there, and this is just scratching the surface. As well, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to learn how to make professional drone videos. I post videos weekly, and you get to be part of the drone fam. And on top of that, make sure to have a wonderful day. Keep cruising. I'll see you in the next video.